across the bottom. And I looked at it and I thought, you gotta be kidding me. What am I gonna do with that? You know, so I'm talking out loud to the creator. And, you know, when I do that, I get answers. So I picked up the charcoal, the willow charcoal, you know, I thought, well, you know, what the heck, willow charcoal is soft and it'll dust back off with a rag if I decide to change my mind, what have I got to lose? So I just etched it in with the willow charcoal. And then the next day, I saw this yellow-orange underpainting on it with like a crystal blue sky. And so I mixed up this huge load of cadmium, deep cadmium, and slung it. And I took them off the wall and put them down on the floor because I didn't want it running all over the place and onto the wall. I wanted to be able to let it pool up and be thick puddles where the color would be, you know, jewel-like. And so I did it on the floor. And then the next day when I came in to do it, you know, after the glazes were dry, I thought I was going to put the blue on, the turquoise that I was seeing in my mind's eye, but it didn't go in that place. It went down here on the lower portion of it. And when the purple tree went in, I stepped back and sat in the chair with a cup of tea and said, oh my God, I'm crossing the river and I'm out of the woods. And I just sat there and laughed because it was like the creator was making this big joke at me. And that's when I started sitting there laughing at the joke. And that's when I started to see this really loose kind of, almost like a coloring book drawing with the charcoal and this landscape emerging on the other side of the river. And I had been kind of thinking there were some scumbled sort of tree branches or something like leafy sort of colors. And so I scumbled them in and then just started drawing back into them with the charcoal. And suddenly I had this landscape emerging and kind of tears in the white paper. And I just yesterday submitted it for an installation for some kind of a behavioral rehab center or something where they were looking for something river-related material, and I was asked to write a statement about it, and I found myself writing about the you know, the new world that we find ourselves in, and that it's our world to create, and that we can now work and create this new world whatever we want. It's that we can be engaged in creating the new world, or we can just like try to hold on and go back to where we came from, which is impossible. Behind me is one of the key paintings that is going in the Italy show. And this is called Blooming Moonflower Dream, painting live on Facebook. And I have never done this before, but I started the left-hand panel on one day, and then a couple of days later, you know, while it was just in its beginning stages, I knew I wanted to do the two together. And so I did a second Facebook Live and started the second one and kind of brought it up to speed. So the beginning of the first one was kind of a very low energy meditation kind of a day. And then the second day of painting was a little more higher energy and bringing the first canvas up to the level of the first one, or bringing the first one up to the level of the second one. We have so many emotions and so many feelings, and they're all happening simultaneously, and it's hard to even know where we're at. I mean, even just today, I think I've been all over the map with highs and lows and in-betweens and scrambled up feelings, and there's no words to describe it all. It's just, it feels like chaos. It feels like chaos. So feelings and emotions are potential creativity waiting to happen. And when they start to build up, you start to feel the tension of all of this creativity piling up. So as you get closer and closer to like the big aha moment, or even little pings of aha, you will start to feel more and more and more tension. And, you know, sometimes we call it stress, sometimes we call it confusion, sometimes we call it exhaustion. We have lots of different names for it. But really, all of what it is creativity unexpressed. So what I have for you today is a simple recipe that you can do at home to release some of the tension and channel that pent-up creativity that you have inside of you into something beautiful, whether you want to make art or whether you want to just use the art to release the creativity and then take it up from there. That's up to you. So I'm going to use oil paint and white canvas. I have a large white canvas set up here, and it is, and I've got a few things I've set up on the palette. So right now I'm feeling kind of pink. So if I would try to take all the feelings and just say one color word that is how I feel at the moment, it's pink. Hot pink, you know, the really sticky lipstick hot pink. That's how I feel right now. So I'm going to start with that and nothing more than that. And I'm going to use that emotional color to release all of the other pent-up creativity that has been stuck in and giving me all these confusing signals all day long. I have positioned my canvas down low. You can see that where I'm standing, it's below my crotch. It's below, right down here below the hip line. And this enables me to stand above it. So my creative center and my solar plexus, okay, my womb and my solar plexus are above the canvas. So when I'm standing up here, I can feel the energy. I can feel the flow of colors here and here like a mirror. Okay, this really helps me, especially on days when I don't feel so strong about my creativity. Sometimes you get really strong signals about what you're going to do, and you can kind of even picture it in your mind's eye. And other days you don't. It feels funky. So today is one of the funky days. I find, actually, I think I want the short-handled brush rather than the long-handled brush, because it's going to get it, it's going to get my hand closer to the mark-making instrument. So this is about translating the feelings into physical form. Okay, so as this energy comes up inside me and gets translated into physical form, it comes off of here. So the connection, the electrical charges will be stronger for me. Since I'm feeling a little weak today, it'll be stronger if my brush is a shorter handle and the pigment is closer to my hand. For years, I worked with pastel for that very reason, because I could grip it in my fingers. So this is close to that. And I'm just going to leap. Okay, no thinking, just leap, because I want to take the passion of the feeling of pink. Okay, you can like tell yourself that, okay, this is a dream, I'm dreaming pink, this is how it feels to me, whatever languaging or and the funny part is that when it starts to take physical form, you can feel the wow coming back at you. It's like, oh my gosh, it's pink. And when it hits that white canvas, I can't even find another word for it. It's just wow. Oh, wow, it's pink. Okay, there it is. It's lipstick pink. So that time my hand went for the other color. When I went to the palette, now there isn't any what's she gonna do with that going on in my head. Okay, I'm just releasing the energy that's been stuck up there inside me all day long. That's the only goal I have right now. The painting will start talking to me and giving me instructions, but I don't need to ask for, oh my God, what's she gonna do with it? How am I gonna make it look like something? That's not where I'm at. My husband was listening to a Joe Cocker recording on YouTube, and he was playing me the drummer's solo, and the drummer was doing this amazing. It reminded me of you know, the strength and the confidence and he knew exactly what the rhythm was and where to put which timpani to hit and which cymbal to hit and the sequence and boom, boom, and then there would be a little pause and then you know, I'm sure you've heard drummer solos, but they build to this crescendo, and he started so slowly with just a few strokes, and then it sort of picked up the pace, and it just really struck me how similar it is to painting, and especially the confidence that he exhibited in the performance, because there was he had no hesitation about whether he was hitting the right pace or the right instrument or any of that. He just went at it, and I thought, oh my God, I want that on my paintings. I want that clarity. And the day after I did that video, I received a message from a viewer, a woman I did not know, and she shared some very personal things that were, oh my, and then she said the painting I see, the woman, everyone could see the woman of light when she appeared in the process of the second painting. But she saw, in addition to that, a gray woman being rescued on the other canvas. And I had to go back and look at the first canvas, and yes, indeed there was. So she's there telling me, oh, there's a woman of light rescuing this woman of no light. Wow. And there were things going on with my family that particular week that were, you know, way too out of my control, and I just burst into tears when I read her message, and so I was afraid to go back and touch the paintings. I just let them sit. They weren't really saying anything to me, and so I let them be. And this went on, and the family situation resolved itself and turned out really well. And then to start. And so I just waited and waited and waited and waited. And when this other business started with the light and shadow on the other canvas, one of those mornings, it cast a light and shadow pattern at a really acute angle off the bottom of this. And so I had charcoal in my hand that day, and I went and just thumbed it in with willow charcoal, thinking, what's the risk? I don't know whether I'm going to use this or not. I'll just wipe it out if I change my mind, right? No big deal. And then the next day I saw the yellow, and I thought, okay, well, now I'm not going to do it on the wall, because if I put yellow with a lot of medium in it, it's going to run all over the place and make a mess on me. So I put them all down on the floor and did it bending over. And at the time I was seeing the yellow, I knew there was turquoise. But I thought in my mind that the yellow was underpainting for where the turquoise was going to go, because I was seeing it as sky. But when I came back to put it on, it wasn't going there. It was going over here. And as this kind of took over and did its thing, and as I was sitting back to take a breather, I just saw the single tree and thought, oh my God, I'm out of the woods. And the trees and the woods have been symbols in my dreams for decades, and I've always been tangled up in the woods and the WOULDS and just all of it. And so I was sitting there in the chair laughing at the creators making fun of me finally being at the crossing. And as I was laughing, I started to see like the black and white, like a coloring book. And I started to see the shapes on the other side. And I was kind of seeing what I thought was leaves on the tree. And, so I started thumbing in some of the greenish shapes. But when I stepped back and looked at it, it was a landscape, and I'd created the other side of the river. And so this whole world of we're creating this new world, and as creators, we get to color it in, we get to make up what the lines are. And so the painting represent that new space that I'm coming into personally, and we as inhabitants of the earth are coming into, because there is a new reality going